Yeah.
Back. Mr. Creeps, welcome.
Let's go. Dude, we haven't had any technical difficulties ever since we kind of first started messing with Zoom, so that's good.
I know we seem like pros. This is good. Good 3 episodes in now. I feel like we're on a roll.
Is this a third one already?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And we just got some very exciting news. I think next week's episode might be really exciting. I just got a message from Garza's guy. He said they're at practice right now. He was going to try and throw a little curveball at us and have this recording be about Luka, but it sounds like next week we'll be able to interview the potential player of the year.
Yeah, awesome. Do we have an exact date for that, or?
I preferred Monday or Tuesday. That way we have a guy that can edit and get things out on our regular Wednesday release.
Yeah. When he called me, my heart started beating a little fast. I'm like, oh crap, we are not ready for this one. We should probably take a couple of days in advance and prepare for this.
I know
Garza.
He can't throw Garza after Christmas break on us like that.
I know, shit, man.
We'll be prepared next week. We'll make something happen. This has been a month on counting now that I've been trying to get him on the interview circuit or get a part of his interview circuit. He's just the wanted man right now.
Yeah, as expected.
Yeah. So how was your Christmas?
Yeah, let's recap the Christmas. Just, in a weird way, we had a pretty decent sized family Christmas reunion. Usually we get together some of my mom's brothers on the Freilich side. We have the church mass. Well, my cousin Mike and I have been ushering church mass for like the last 6-7 years. We're both self-declared ranked first and second ushers, best ushers in the state.
Yeah.
And so at first Michael said he wasn't gonna be able to make it because he's down in Texas, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna have to take on this pandemic by myself. I get a text from Michael the night before, say, hey, coming in. There's no way in hell I'll miss this mass. I'll see you tomorrow. So I got pretty pumped up. Mike came in for a surprise visit. We ushered together. It was a mess. Trying to usher in a pandemic was an absolute mess.
First of all, it shows how much of a magnitude this mass has because he's flying from Texas. Second, what's the difference at mass now? I'm not a good churchgoer right now. I haven't seen what that's like with COVID.
So it may vary depending on what church you go to, but ours, you had to call and reserve some spots ahead. It's every other pew. So when we got there, they just kind of threw a list at us and say, hey, check in people when they walk in. And some people walk in like, what the heck? Why are we not on the list? And I'm like, I don't know half the people that I probably should know. They're like, you don't know my last name? I'm like, I can't tell. I can't recognize anyone with your mask on.
Right. And it's been years since you lived there.
Yeah. So it's about 50% capacity. After the mass, I had this gigantic fog machine and had to go throughout each pew and just hosing it down. And so, I mean, that's what we had to do to keep it clean and whatnot. But I don't know. It was a mess.
Sounds like some extra duties this year. And for people that don't know, you're in Algona for that, right?
Right.
Sounds like you were traveling all over though.
Yep. I've been 2 Christmases because as in 2020, I picked up a girlfriend this year. So that comes with 2 Christmases. On Christmas Eve, we spent it with my family, and then we woke up the next morning and head on down to Iowa City. So I was a little hungover. So that drive it was a 4-hour trip. Yeah.
All over the state, basically.
Yeah. How about yourself? How was your Christmas?
Similar. We also picked up a lady this year, which, makes things not as bad, I suppose, with everything else going to crap, but a lot more traveling. We did double-sided Christmas this year. Didn't do a lot of big gatherings. We cut things short. My grandpa just got over a pretty rough COVID stint. So we went to Pella for the first couple of days and went up to Cedar Falls, saw Scotty, Dusty, and then the girl's parents. So that was nice. A little different this year. Everything's been a little different this year. We made the most of it. Now I'm just decluttering, getting all the boxes and crap out of my house, which it just stresses me out. And then Garza gets thrown on top of everything. Getting back into things after Christmas, and then interview the best player in the nation quick.
Yeah, no kidding. So I was looking at your stories this weekend. Do you have a family tradition of like dancing for like females in the household? Yeah, what was that about? I was like, whoa.
Nothing church related, but it's PG. My mom started doing this Christmas pop dance when we were like 8 years old, and just basically just to embarrass us. Like we're like, Mom, stop. Keeps doing it every year. Eventually, like we're like, okay, this is pretty funny. And then my sister got involved maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and we roped Darian into it this year. That was kind of her female initiation, was to get to be a part of Mom's Christmas dance. So Yeah, it's a minute long of pure entertainment for sure.
Cool. I love traditions. We have one little tradition in our house on Christmas Eve. We have Santa Claus always shows up and runs around the house.
That you?
And that is me. Yes. So like 5 years ago, I decided for for to be funny. I'm like, oh, here, I'll be Santa. Thought it might be a one and done thing. Nope. Boom. Next year, the neighbors found out I got upgraded. I had to go to the neighbor's house. Kids had to sit in my lap. Uh, kids are asking where the reindeer are. And then from 5 years on, I've been Santa Claus. So we just stuff a few pills up me. And I just run around the house and wave the little kids through the window and they just go nuts inside. And I
Love
come
it.
in, take it off, drink a few beers.
So another very classic, I mean, nationwide tradition is to go to the mall or go to your local church, or someone has Santa in town and you go and tell Santa what you want for Christmas. That's also something you get to do, right?
Say, all right, my bad. Say that again.
You also play Santa in a different role as well, right? You get to be the guy that the little kids come to and listen to what they want for Christmas.
Yeah. So this year, my Santa stopped by the Tape Wellness Center, my sister's business, and the word spread throughout town. After school, a flock of kids came in, sat on my lap. Even my own nephew sat on my lap, and they had no idea that's how good of a Santa Claus I am.
They didn't.
No, not. I thought for sure my 8-year-old nephew would know, but no. He just sat on my lap. And he's like, "Yeah, I want Pokemon cards." I'm like, "You got it." And I just happened to be his godfather too. So there you go.
It works out.
I knew exactly what he wanted after that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was different. Overall, everything was, pretty much how everything else has been, like limited, but it was fun. Looking forward to New Year's. Ready for a new year in general, but always got to have the big NYE plan. I see that you got a little plans for New Year's Eve here on the notes, but what are you thinking about doing?
No, I don't have that much of plans this year. I'm going to Iowa City. That's about it. Julie's family, my girlfriend's family, has some people coming down. They have relatives coming down from Minneapolis, but that's weather permitting. I don't know if you saw. There's a huge blizzard that will be striking almost the entire state tomorrow. I know Des Moines in a winter weather warning, same as Blackhawk County. So I think it's like anywhere from like 5 to like 12 inches.
I didn't see that. Is that going to hit a good part of the Midwest?
Majority. I'm not sure about the entire Midwest, but I know Iowa's the hot spot for it.
Okay.
At first, last week's projections were 24 inches in Algona, I saw. But you know how that always goes. A week later, always diminishes down to at least 50%.
I swear,
of it. So
that part of the state is the most hyped up storm area in the whole state, maybe the whole nation.
Yeah, I was there last week and we had a blizzard. It was like wind gusts of up to 55 miles per hour after like 2 to 3 inches of snow, and it was a complete whiteout. You couldn't even see it across the street.
Yeah, it's been weird. Like, it kind of came in soft. It was super nice, 50 degrees, and all of a sudden we're getting blizzards. A little weird. I don't want a polar vortex. A couple of years ago, we were living together, and we got pretty much stuck in your basement for like 3 days straight.
That was miserable. I can deal with snow, but anytime below 50 below is just a whole nother level that I'm not quite used to, even though being from the Midwest.
Yeah. A few New Year's ago, we were in Iowa City as well, and we went out, and I think it was -10 at one point with wind gusts. Oh my gosh, that was horrible. So I'm hoping for a little better than that, at least for New Year's. We're planning on going to Beer Can Alley, maybe a little VIP area with Sean Roberts, and his motley crew. He's got a funny group of fellas that he hangs out with. So excited about that. I mean, not sure if that's COVID protocol, but at this point, like, I've kind of already had it. If I'm going to spill the beans, and I'm okay with going out in public at this point. I'm ready for everything to open up.
You're immune.
I think I am for at least a little bit. And it sounds like some of the people in my family are going to get the vaccine. That could be our saucy question of the week.
Okay, we'll get to that here in a bit. What's going on at Beer Can Alley this year for New Year's Eve?
It's usually it's packed always, but they always have a good time. They got the Exchange and Beer Can on the 3rd level on Court Avenue downtown Des Moines. Teddy Hawley, the owner, has been very, very vocal about keeping things open during COVID, even though it's maybe not the safest thing. But I do feel for those restaurant owners and everything. Nothing special really, but I mean, hopefully we'll bypass that $40 cover and get right in and have a good time.
Yeah, that's right. The covers in Des Moines are usually ridiculous, but
especially
I think that's everyone's New Year's Eve plans this year. Like nothing special. I mean, because if it's special, that means it's almost too much.
It's too much,
especially in a pandemic. So it's got to be somewhat low key and it's whatever. That's how the last like 8 months or so have been throughout the country.
For sure. I wouldn't be surprised if Reynolds even does a little last minute mandate saying you can't go out.
Yeah. All right. So say if this is no pandemic, no coronavirus, it's history. We never heard of it. It's never happened yet. What's your favorite thing about New Year's Eve and what's your least favorite thing about New Year's Eve?
Favorite thing is definitely getting together with everybody and just like kind of taking it all in. We used to it used to be high school friends. Even in college, we kind of mix high school and college friends. And that was always fun to kind of mix worlds. But always kind of fun to recap the year. I mean, I love a good party. So that's definitely up there. Worst part, or do you want to do your best part?
No, go ahead.
Worst part is it's overhyped. Like very similar to Halloween. I think that these holidays get way overhyped.
I would agree.
What's yours?
My favorite part is, it's a reason to get together for everyone. It can be either really good time or here's my worst part. It could be a really bad time. I feel like if you don't have the right enough plans, that it's a waste of day. And I'm like, oh, geez, you feel like shit. You're like, God, because I saw some of the people on my Snapchat had the most lit time of their lives last night. They found the love of their life and made a few chicks. So if you don't capitalize on it, the next day could be a miserable day. And my other most hated part about it is the weather. You had to fight. It's in January in the Midwest. It could be, I've gone out on negative 15-degree weather before New Year's Eve. So that's always the worst part, is trying to fight the weather. But luckily we're men and we usually dress appropriately for the bars. I've seen some women wearing some very covering clothes to reveal themselves at the bar. And you just wonder, like, how do they do it? They're Midwest women are just built different.
Midwest women are built different. They're pretty much down to do whatever it takes to look a little bit swanky, scantily clad, if you will. Favorite moment of New Year's Eve? You have one?
Yeah. Well, probably growing up, my good friend Fluff, his birthday was the 1st, January 1st. So we always went to his house throughout high school. All of us in our grade would just go party at his house we weren't a party. We were in high school. We just played tackle football in his basement, and not the biggest house. So it was easily every kid would somehow crash into a wall. Pool sticks were broken. Some kid was injured. So that was always my favorite tradition, kind of going out there and just like messing around with some of the buddies. So I kind of miss that.
Yeah. That's good shit.
I'd wake up the next day, if maybe my elbow hurting. Now I wake up with my liver hurting.
Yep. For sure. Got some good ones in Iowa City for sure. Just summit days, all those years we'd go there, 4 or 5 times a month. But there was one a couple of years ago where I was running with Dusty and Scott, and we were going to Toads, I think, and I was like doing parkour on like everything was super icy. I like jumped like off a bench and like tried to swirl on a light pole and wiped the fuck out. Terrible. So I don't think that's my favorite memory, but that's got to be some people's favorite memory.
Do you have any injuries?
No, I was too young. I was too young to get hurt at that. Nice. I mean, give me a few years and I'd probably break a hip, but I was good.
In that invincible stage.
Yep.
For sure. We have some recapping to do over the sports here in the state of Iowa. Iowa State bowl game still on. We'll get, as that game comes closer, we'll talk a little more about that. Iowa, Missouri canceled for the Music City Bowl that was supposed to take place Wednesday at 3:00.
Missouri's feeling that you don't care that game is canceled.
No, I can give 2 shits less.
That is the worst bowl. It's up there with my least favorite bowls. It shouldn't even exist.
We talked about it a little bit in the last episode. I said if I ever become president, my first obligation would be to destroy the Music City Bowl, and I still hold truth to that. Here's my take on it. I knew Missouri didn't want to play in this. They've had some COVID in their program, apparently from the previous game, and so why would they accept the bowl invitation? There's no way they ever want to play in this game.
Right. They should have let people know so that a different team could have been in, because Iowa wants to play. I was ready to play Michigan. They were ready to have another game on the 19th. That a couple weeks ago, they were ready to play in a bowl game. And Keith Duncan, kicker Keith Duncan, had a good point. These guys are having to stay home from the holidays with their families and get prepared for the games, and now they're not even playing. So they've missed out on what really could be a Christmas time with family, and they're not even playing. So I kind of feel bad for those guys too.
Yeah, you do feel for the Iowa program. I mean, they sacrificed to make sure this bowl game was going to happen. Almost as soon as the bowl games were announced, Missouri's best player, foregoed his bowl and would enter the NFL draft. I knew as soon as I got entered the NFL drafts, the program's just not taking. So yeah, Missouri allowed their players to go home for Christmas vacation, see their families, and that's obviously the number spiked up. So they just didn't really care about the bowl season. So you do feel for a little bit for the Iowa program. Amir Smith Marsett declared for the NFL draft. A few other players, Brandon Smith's obviously senior declaring. So we'll keep track. I saw Nixon is projecting the top 10 in the NFL draft. So from JUCO to bench player last year, the first team All-American.
Yeah, he's got a story. We might have to get him on because that's a pretty cool story too.
Yeah, no kidding. I'd love to have Nixon on. So he's gone from absolute nobody to one of the top defensive tackles in the entire country. So that's awesome. Iowa basketball up 7 with 30 seconds left against Minnesota. And I knew this. I'm going to take fault for this loss. When they were up 7 with 30 seconds left, you best believe I had a draft tweet saying a win is a win in the Big Ten. And I almost tweeted it, and then as soon as I got that tweet ready, boom,
everything hits the fan. That's almost worse than you and I's collapse a couple of years ago.
I thought Tides have Oh geez, the 11-point lead with like 58 seconds left. We'll never forget that loss. But yeah, I thought this Iowa team had it in them. It goes to show how tough and how like a gauntlet the Big Ten could be this year.
Yeah,
even with no fans, you had to play through all 40 minutes of the game. Credit to Minnesota, they had a guy that was averaging 6 points a game. Is hit like 6 or like two or three threes all year. Came in the game and hit like 8 of 9 or 9 of 10 for a 3-pointer that night. So hands in his face too.
You tweeted it. I saw a bunch of guys that we have mutuals tweet it, and it's a sentiment I feel like a lot of Hawkeye basketball fans share, that when a guy doesn't shoot well, he's guaranteed to shoot well against the Hawkeyes. Is that a curse, or is that we are not playing good defense this year?
I've always wanted to believe it was a curse, but we've been would give up like 99 to 100 points in that game. Credit to Minnesota. They were hitting some shots with their hands in the face, but if you allow them to get going with open threes, they're going to catch a little rhythm and eventually continue to make those shots, even with the hand in their face. So we got to D up. Our defensive help has been terrible. Our on-ball defense, we switched to zone, and that allows Minnesota, after I've hit a couple threes, continue momentum, swing the ball around. They're just finding the looks, and they're finding a guy that was hot-handed, and they continue to make it. We gotta apply more on-ball pressure. Definitely not a curse.
Yeah, especially this year, it seems like they're not playing great defense. And one thing I've noticed is the zone defense is really allowing the rebounds, offensive rebounds from the other team. And, give Villanova and Minnesota credit. They've got scorers. That's, in my opinion, that's still not an excuse. You gotta find a way to stop them, because you can't put up 100 points every game. And, sometimes the defense needs to shine through. But yeah, high hopes. I'm still pumped. Iowa basketball's going to be a contender this year, in my opinion, whether or not they have the Big Ten season that they expect.
Right. I think that right now they're just kind of relying a little too much on their offense. They need to wake up and be like, yeah, we need some defense to be able to compete in the Big Ten, especially. So, it's better to have these losses now versus later in the season. Hopefully they kind of wakes them up a little bit.
For sure.
There's been worse losses in the program. Iowa State hasn't been playing much because all their competitors have had COVID problems. Like last 2 games have had COVID problems in the program. That could be a good or bad thing for Iowa State. They need to kind of find themselves. Yeah, as we talked about last podcast, they had a close game against like number 8 West Virginia. There's hope there.
Yeah, they're a team that needs to get a momentum going. Clearly, Gonzaga didn't need the extra help. They had been off for 10 to 14 days before they played Iowa, and they looked great. But I think with a young team like Iowa State that needs to find an identity, they need as many games as they can get.
Right. Speaking of momentum, the Drake Bulldogs.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Drake Bulldogs 10-0. I knew 8-0 was the first time being 8-0 in the program in over 41 years. I'm not sure where 10-0 stands on the all-time history of Drake men's basketball program, but that's an impressive mark. They're still, I think they received 1 vote to be ranked, but they haven't played anyone too tough. But that's win your games, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Win the games. You and I, on the other hand, you can't say a win's not valuable, because you're seeing you and I, even in the first 4 games, we're playing guys in tournaments that they should have absolutely smashed, and they didn't. So you got to give Drake some credit. There's no gimmies in basketball, especially catch somebody on a hot night. Tough to win. So
yeah, Coach DeVries over at Drake is doing magnificent things. I mean, ever since he's been at the program the last 2-3 years, Drake's been a front runner for the MVC. They won't have to worry too much about UNI this year. UNI's AJ Green will sit out the rest of the season because of hip surgery. So they're 1-6 right now. They're struggling heavily without their leading scorer in the Missouri Valley Conference preseason, Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year. Going back to Coach DeVries, his son, who's a 4-star recruit at Waukee, committed to Drake to play next year. So he was recruited all throughout the country, Oregon, big programs. Will stay home, play for his father. So they have some more ammo coming in next year. So we'll have to keep an eye on the Drake men's program throughout this year and obviously next year as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice to see you guys stay in the state. We're really random. DJ Carton went to Ohio State, right?
Ohio State had some mental health issues last year, sat out the rest of the season, and then transferred to Marquette. Yeah.
Okay. That was just a side personal thing. I know he was from Iowa, went over to Ohio State, and that was something else. But I'm like, we got to keep those guys in the state.
That's right. Yeah. It'd be nice to see a player like that caliber stick within the state. Athletic point guard who will probably find himself on an NBA roster someday in the future. Quick athletic guy that can throw the ball down. So he was a lot of fun to watch at the few games I did see him play last year at Ohio State.
Yeah, for sure. Will you take the vaccine?
Right now, I haven't really been threatened by COVID. I feel like I might receive some flack for this. I don't know. I don't feel obligated to take it right now until it becomes more. I don't know. I just right as of right now, probably not. But maybe in the future, my mind might switch if I feel more threatened by it and I see more people take it and less problems. I'm kind of letting other people be the guinea pig and like, go take it and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. I know it feels selfish, but it's almost like that's the position that you want to take if you don't have to take it. It's almost like I wouldn't necessarily want extra shit in my body. It's like right. I don't really want it in there, but I do have some people in the healthcare industry around me, and they're likely going to take it, so they can be the guinea pigs, I suppose.
My brother this little dude just went to go get tested for COVID a half hour ago, came back negative already. He had to go get tested because he's going to Mason City for a clinic on Thursday because as a pharmacist, he has to provide the vaccine to patients and everyone throughout the state. So he's got to learn how to give the vaccine. So I'm not sure if that means he has to take the vaccine, but he will be probably. So he will be given the vaccine.
Okay.
I think so. Because all healthcare workers have to take it, I believe.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'll let my brother guinea pig, and I will keep a close eye and research a little bit of his conditions and symptoms throughout the couple weeks he takes and see what happens.
Yeah.
So if he turns into a rat, I'll let you know.
That sounds good. I wish the best for the Colpster.
Okay, folks. Well, we appreciate you for hopping on this quick recap of a podcast after Christmas. We didn't have a lot going on just because of COVID reasons. Obviously, the Christmas wasn't as special as you thought it would be. New Year's would probably be the same, but we want to wish you all a happy and safe New Year's. And please continue to listen to our podcast, subscribe to our channel. It helps us out a lot. Bryce, anything for the fans out there?
Drink responsibly. Drink Busch Light responsibly. Whatever you're consuming, be smart about it.
There you go, folks. Be smart, be safe, and have a good time.